everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Power Spike. It's your boy dGon here alongside Jamada and Yamato in the only place where we cover the world of League of Legends. And the reigning world champions, T1, make news yet again. For the first time in Oner's career, he has been substituted out by Painter to make what used to be ZOFGK, that then became DOFGK, which is currently DOFPK, become DPFPK against Hanwha Life Esports, who have the Z and the G that used to be on the team. So, Yamato, why would they do this? What do they mean by it? Why Painter? Oh, there's so much to unpack with this one move.
We were fortunate, right? Like, I think always it's tricky because you get kind of ganged by the news, you know, because they're trying to withhold as much information as possible, right? As like we saw like HLE reacting to it as they were like arriving to the venue, because obviously from a competitive side, you want to hold off on that information as long as possible, because obviously the prep work is around Oner, and then suddenly it shifts, and that's a competitive advantage. And then obviously fans are left there thinking, what the hell is going on? You know, everyone cares. The T1 fans care very much about their players and so forth. And Tom was very revealing in the interview where they talked about how basically something that was the most surprising is that Painter apparently brings shot calling from the jungle position, which was it's a very interesting angle to go from when our vision of what the T1 roster is, right, is that this is the last thing that they need. They have it all in place. But jungle is such a delicate role because you have so much decision to bring forth, especially in a very jungle support heavy, meta. Making a shakeup happen there is crazy from the outside. The timing, I also was reading that they like fans were spotting Painter and like content a little bit earlier, and this is something that they planned, right? And I wonder if at the end of it all, it's just the classic T1 where we're going to put in a Painter and we're going to have them compete for their position, and through this hopefully make Oner better. Because in the end, it's like as much as people hated the whole Gumayusi thing, and Gumayusi did the most badass thing in the end. During that year, like Gumayusi was not performing. Like my man was, I remember he was Valkyrying into enemies level 2 on Koki. You know, he was having a very, very bad time. And then at the end of it all, he smurfed his face off. And obviously, all credit to the guy, but also credit to the circumstance that was, created because obviously, these players are strong. So all in all, I have kind of trust in a weird way to the T1 coaching staff and the players to actively take good decisions, because I think in the end, this is, in the interest of the team, because they want to, of course, win. And I think that the main thing that T1 internally has always had to fight off is the commercial side. Because in the same vein as Smash was taken out, in the way Joe Marsh stated, it was basically, it's like, I'm putting in Gumayusi because probably like monetarily, it kind of, makes the most sense to just put him in terms of what the fans want and what they kind of, see from the project. And I hope that it's not going to be one of those circumstances again, because at least here, I do think that Oner's year has been lackluster by his standard.
Yeah, bro. I mean, they just released the T1 K-pop activation recently. That just happened through Spotify. That was like a Spotify activation, who's been a sponsor of T1 now for the last 2 years, and was a big deal. Also, I can now reveal, as Wolf revealed on the broadcast, Painter was there on Wednesday or Thursday, whenever their earlier match was that week, and then they just mollywopped D plus Kia and ended their winning streak, their 7-game winning streak. So it might have been a situation where if they did not 2-0 them, or if they 2-0'd them and didn't look good in game 1, Painter would have seen time there. But instead, they drop him on into the biggest rivalry match that they have this year. Jamada, what do you make of the move here, other than wanting to take another look at another player?
Yeah, I mean, I have no issues with it. actually. I have no issues with it at all. I think that like generally a lot of the outrage is just coming from the fans that obviously hold the original, ZOFGK roster and then all of its derivatives to this very, very almost like deity-like kind of state. Guys, they're pro players. They're in competition. They can be subbed out if they play poorly. It's just the way it is. And in this case, even though I think that the substitution contextually actually, there are some arguments to say it doesn't make sense. I think that Tom brought about a pretty good argument, and it's that this is probably the best time that you're going to be able to do it for the remainder of the year, because the remainder of the year is 2 more weeks into playoffs. You're not going to do it in playoffs, right? And the reality is, as far as seeding is concerned, do we think T1 are going to end up, like, let's say they drop out of first, second, and they go third, fourth. Are we worried about them losing to fifth or sixth in playoffs in round 1? Probably not, right?
Oh.
Like, they're probably not gonna drop to fifth, sixth in playoffs. So I think it's just a massive overreaction. And frankly, like you said a moment ago, I think Oner's been having a really turbulent year, to be generous to him. Not just by Oner standards, but I just think by like LCK standards in general. And at the end of the day, T1 are kind of specialists at this stuff, like sub shit. I criticized Joe Marsh quite heavily last year for pulling what he pulled with Guma. But in fairness, I think in hindsight, the experiment was going on for a little bit too long. Like, I don't think they were actually ever going to run Smash forever, even though Smash was playing well enough that I wouldn't have minded it, but I don't think they were ever going to land on him in the end. I just think that this whole thing has been blown up purely because of the fact that it's T1 and we have to, protect the players and this and that and the other. It's like, guys, they're pro players. This is a part of the reality of competing, right? So yeah, I had absolutely no issues really with the substitution. And if it lights a fire on the Oner's ass to remind him that, hey, like, I can I can get subbed, like, I'm not invincible, I'm here for it, because it worked with Guma, right? It got them a third World Trophy back to back to back, right? He was Finals MVP at the end of the day. And also, I don't think Painter was the problem in that series, like, at all. If I'm to be like honest, do I think that if Oner was like theoretically in the latter games in that series that they would have won? I think they would have had a stronger chance, but I don't think it was the end of like the end all be all of the reason why T1 ended up losing to Hanwha either. So yeah, I think under the circumstances, I have no issue with this sub, and it's probably a 1 or 2 series thing. I don't see it going on longer than this.
So I guess my strong feeling is, one, you can't create an environment like this. I know Tom has said it, but think about it, right? You're playing a rival team in a Saturday showdown against probably the toughest opponent that you could face him against the toughest jungler that you could face him against, because Kanavi is so aggressive. And if you lose, you're in the regular season. You play the next week. So I think that part makes sense to me. What doesn't make sense to me is, how is Oner the guy that you're subbing out, not Doran? Like, Doran is Mr. Inconsistent. Doran is the one that I feel like I've gone on broadcast and defended a lot and been like, wow, look at him create space for the team. And it's like, is that what you need out of your top laner right now, for him to create space on the team? And then he went and had the Olaf game back in to qualify for MSI. And then we came back here and he's having a couple of like oopsies. And then in that series, he got the better of Zeus, and then Zeus got him back, right? It's just, how is he the guy? How is he the guy that you're subbing out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. His final 2 deaths in the NAR game are what, like, cost T1 the series as well. Like,
yeah, it was the game 2 series.
Enough. Yeah. So like, I don't know. Maybe they just don't feel as confident in Painter. In the academy top as they do. Or did Painter. Because I mean, I actually just want to take a second to praise Painter. I think he had a really positive looking series, like given all of the circumstances, like stacked up on top of each other, right? Saturday Showdown. And I think as a competitor, you shouldn't think about a lot of these things, but it's like Saturday Showdown, yes, you're playing versus Hanwha, who are arguably or unarguably, I think, the best team in the world. You're playing versus one of the most aggressive junglers in the world, which as a jungler, you're always going to look forward to playing another guy who's a bit of a psycho. It's just always a challenge. And then there's always going to be the fanfare stuff around it because you're on T1, right? And wanting to prove that subsection of fans, wrong, even if a fair chunk of them are never gonna care because they just want to see Oner in and playing. So yeah, I think it was really the perfect test bed, and I don't really feel like he cracked under the pressure as an individual. So I'm quite impressed with him. But again, like I'm saying, he might get like one more series of airtime versus DK next week, and then I can probably see them just going back to Oner. Like, I don't think this is a Guma Smash situation where, like, not only was Guma kind of underperforming, but they had to, like, try and figure out, well, hey, we've got Doran and, like, we've got two, like, air quotes, weak side players on our side lanes, and Faker isn't, the mechanical beast that he was in, like, through 2013 to, like, 16 or whatever. We need a guy to give resources to. This is just a completely different circumstance as far as, like, that sub contextually made loads of sense in the grander scheme of trying to rebuild T1 into a team that looked more threatening than it was face value. This sub is a lot more about just like giving a youngster some playtime, which T1 have been pretty notoriously good at, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, right? Like Teddy Guma. Poby obviously was like a forced substitution via Faker's wrist injury. But even Faker himself, right? Remember, like the Easy Hoon Faker sub, that was because he couldn't play his ear, if I recall correctly, that like at the time. So, yeah, like the coaching staffs on T1 have normally been pretty spot on with the substitutions. I actually, the more that you think about it, really, I actually don't see what the big hubbub actually is, other than the fact that it's Odo on T1.
Yeah. I want to throw this out here for you, Yamato, just because Jamada is saying he had a pretty good debut. I think my take was that he looked good in the win, and he looked bad, I guess, lost in game 2 when he was on Lee Sin and didn't have early prio. And then in game 3, he's the one that picked the 2 fights early on Nocturne and finishes the game 1-8-7 on Nocturne. But he picked those early fights that put them in the hole. If he's being attributed with all the shot calling that came on in, which is true, we heard it on the broadcast. He was talking a lot, and it was awesome to see. But as a rookie debut, what do you want to see? Like, what is the goal of T1 subbing in this player at this point? And after seeing, like, okay, he talks more, and he's an aggressive challenger jungler, what do you do with that information moving forward, knowing that you have Oner as the other guy on your bench?
Yeah, I do agree with Jamada on the point that I think in the near future, I think it's just going to be a commitment into Oner again. I also think that that's the main thing that stood out, right? That you're bringing in a rookie jungler to a storied roster to bring in shot calling elements. Like, that is very strange, and I think that regardless of which jungler you put in such a circumstance, like, the adjustment period is just too narrow. It's like the biggest challenge now, especially when you think about international play or within the LCK too, you have jungle super duos that have worked together for like the whole year at minimum, and in some cases even way longer than that, right? And I think that's a massive advantage. It's like, there's a reason Shun and On are performing as good as they are. It's like they have so much history. It's like they played like 300 games together, which is a shit ton of games. And the same thing is true for Oner and Keria too, right? Especially looking back at how they played last year. I think always when you have, it's not like there was a period where they kind of rejected each other in terms of how they played. I'm thinking back specifically to 2024 Worlds, where basically Keria had to adapt his style, where even at that World Championship that they won, when they played Braum and Leona, they looked at their worst. Those were the games that they lost because it requires you to connect with your jungler. And then Keria was like, you know what? My jungler is farming. He shows up to the objective and smurfs. So I need to do the warding, do it alone. Pick me Pyke, Rakan, Bard, let me drift, let me do some, fast and furious shit here on the map and just move and be quick and just do it solo. But then Mata came in 2025. Suddenly, this the jungle and the support, why we put so much pressure on them, especially coming into this year, is because they were driving every damn game. They were. It seemed like Mata was the person that kind of made them function together, because Mata, of course, came from Delight and Peanut, which was their biggest strength, that they worked together. And then that separation was kind of hard for Delight, as we can see. Even though Delight is, one MSI and so forth, I still think that he is like probably the weakest link. For sure, he's the weakest link on HLE. So all of that to say that very surprising coming into this year that that's such a big disconnect, because that's supposed to be your advantage, your history. And the fact that they are in a position where they want to challenge that, I can only think that it comes from a position of wanting to make Oner realize something, make him learn something, make him figure something out. Because if, for example, they go into the World Championship and they qualify, or they're playing like their final BO5 of LCK that would qualify them to Worlds, I'd be very surprised if you put Painter in there. Like, there's just too many question marks. Because regardless of what you think you know about a player, he is going to show you new sides of himself under that immense amount of pressure. That is a type of scenario that you can prepare. Probably T1 with their experience is the most suited to prepare them for that. But in that context, it's like he's going to be in a very unique state, and you learn from there. And it was the same when we talked about BLG, right? It's like, Wembo, it's like he's doing fine, but it's like BLG have his aspirations to do really, really good. You'd rather have someone that was there, he was up there and swinging, maybe he played a couple of finals, maybe he won a Worlds, it would be nicer. But I'm with you too, dGon. I do think that game one was a very simple and straightforward game to play. I like the aggression. He was playing on the line, kind of fit the craziness of T1. But then definitely, like, some of the fights he took on Nocturne in that game 3 were awful. I do think that in regards to some of the other members on the team, it's like, I think it's easy to put the bigger highlight on them because they should have a bigger importance. For example, Faker had a very good series against D+, but then this series against HLE, it's like what he was doing on lock and what he was doing in certain spots, or, just plain and simple, you have your top laner getting solo killed in the Gnar matchup against Ambessa. He's getting solo killed, Cho'Gath against Rumble. And then it's like, Cho'Gath is suddenly just there with 5,000 health. It's like, how do you really defeat that? So definitely the problems run deeper. But sometimes, as we mentioned already, it's like, you play with the solutions available to you. It's the same. People ask, C9, why is there not 15 players on the roster? Why is there not 3 junglers ready to pounce on Blabber the moment he does a crab move? It's like, obviously I'm biased and I'm working with Blabber. I like him a lot. I can see the upside of the guy, and we're working on some of his weaknesses. But you gotta work with what the market offers you and what you have at your disposal. And we were fortunate that Eddie was available. Fortunate that Loki was available. Maybe there's a world where they're not, and then maybe suddenly the dynamic changes, and you gotta work with what you can.
Yeah.
There's one last thing as well, if I can just jump in quickly. We brought this point up last year when Groomer and Smash happened. Do we just think that the players have no say in this? There's a big level of infantilization of like the roster that seems to happen anytime something like this occurs. Like, Faker part owns T1. Like, he's not just he's not just like, the GOAT and like the robotic guy that just like plays legal. He part owns the company, bro. Like, that was in his contract. What is that, like 20 or something? Like, he cares. Carrier care. Like, they're not just gonna sit there. Hell, Oner probably had half a say in it too, to be honest. Like, given how he was looking backstage, that wasn't the face of a guy that was like upset to not be playing, like, for the most part.
That's true. I'll confirm that as well. I passed him in the hallway and I was like,
like,
this is interesting.
that's not a sad guy who like feels like they're gonna lose their position. Like, come on, like there's still levels to it. But yeah, let's not do that again. Where we frame this as if the players are the good guys and they're innocent and they can do nothing wrong, and the coaching staff, they're the evil dictators who get like final say on everything. No, man, like it's very back and forth, very clearly on T1. Like the real dictator was Joe Marsh last year, right? Like making the final call to bring Guma in. If we're just gonna be intellectually honest with ourselves,
yeah,
right? If this went on for long and then the same thing happened, then we would be calling Joe Marsh a dictator again. Which, to be fair, is the CEO, so like, cool. But like, yeah, let's not play that game again, where the roster are children with like zero say in it. They obviously Faker and Carrier are gonna be having strong conversations. So is Oner at this point.
So then, I think that's a pretty good spot to leave it off on here, where we ask you all at home, what do you think of this move? Do you agree that this was the time, given the fact that the standings are all so close, that first and fourth are separated by one series, and we keep hammering it home that every match matters to make that substitution? Or do you feel like the outweighing of the idea that you can't create an environment like a Hanwha Life Esports versus T1 match can on a Saturday showdown? That's the place to find out. Let us know in the comments. Do you expect to see Painter again? I do not. Like, I think it's a nice reminder of what Oner isn't, because we again had the ear of the comms, and he was yapping a ton. It was awesome. It was awesome to see. But then, you had Lee Sin in game 2. Lee Sin has been the hot pick for the junglers here. Bad players are winning with Lee Sin because you can dictate the game. He was clearly given reins to dictate the game by everyone on the team. And he was like 0-0-1 while they're pushing the fountain or something. It was kind of... It was not a Lee Sin game.
That he only played Oner classics, Pantheon, Lee Sin, Nocturne, Bro, if he could, he would play Rail Jungle, like, if he could.
So let us know in the comments below what you think about that. One more LCK topic that I wanted to hit on here. It was Gen.G kind of look back here. They win 2 games in a row, and more specifically, Ruler looked back. Like, Ruler looked good. And I feel like I can say that for once without having to caveat it. Other parts of the team still functioning. Duro still getting there, but Ruler put the team on his back, had the very, very big solo kill on Gumayushi, who had a bad week, I would say, until even in the win against T1. But Ruler looking good. What did you make of the rest of the LCK and Gen.G here, Yamato, and then Jamada after that?
No, on my end, I feel like the dust is beginning to settle a little bit, in terms of where we have the teams in my mind. I think that KT to me is the 5th. I never thought there was a chance that KT or D+ would win the LCK. I think that, one of these 3 teams, at the top end are just primed to solve their problems. And like in my mind, if I just make a tier list right now, I think Gen.G is the strongest looking team. I think that T1 to me, surprisingly, even though they lost to HLE, I think there's a second. I think they're going to be like the second best team, because now they made the shift up to Painter. But like before that, T1 was ramping up, especially with the global agreement. Like there has to be like some, some secret boardroom meetings or something with ADCs. They're like, you know what? The clown show has gone on for long enough. Let's just pick ADCs, shall we? And then everyone just applauded, like all the 100 ADCs in all the major regions, like, yeah, nice. And now everyone just plays ADCs again. And as obviously Pace is just smiling, just smile completely wide, covered in his face, because obviously this guy is probably the best ADC in the world. People even go so far to say that, he's just the best, player in the world, which I think is a very fair argument to make in terms of the level that he's performing at. And yeah, I think Gen.G now with Ruler's ramp up, we got that little story from Arnold, which is a very, very good story. It's like during the roadshow, he performed he felt so bad about his performance, so he found a secret incognito. I just imagine him like wearing like a fake mustache or something in a PC bung, just grinding, playing Ezreal.
Sitting down in a PC bag, you look to your left and it's just Ruler like just there by himself.
It's a Ruler with a mustache. And then he's playing on his account Gen.G Ruler because he can't account share. It's like, what the fuck? So for me, Gen.G looks like the front runner again. I don't know, like Keen, Chovy, they just look too dangerous. And if it's more of a lane bot-centric meta, it's like Duro and Ruler are good at that. And then you just hope that they make it through. Because what's funny is like the way they won their games, right? It's like especially that Kog'Maw game. It was so classic Gen.G. Because Kog'Maw, they won bot lane 2v3 for the first 10 minutes. And that's like peak Gen.G, where it's like the jungler is just an absent dad that just shows up to be like, hey, my son, you're so successful now, like, let me partake in your riches. Oh, is this my grandson? Hey, sport. That's Canyon's jungling method. And if everybody else is performing good enough to lane on their own, bro, Gen.G is dangerous as all hell, and they can just hide, Canyon's weaknesses, So it's bless him.
Jamada, what jumped at you in LCK this week?
I mean, yeah, I think just overall, I like the dust settling point of like, yeah, it always felt like we were just going to end up with this top three. I think we joked and jested about the outside possibilities of a dark horse like occurring, but yeah, I think as the last 2 weeks has kind of grinded away at some of these teams, who's surprised? Like it's the strongest, most experienced that are running at the top. I mean, for me, what jumps out, I guess, is just kind of the fine strengths and weaknesses of this top three, right? Like, I feel like for T1, it's very clear, like, the weakness is Doran, the weakness is the top side, and the inconsistency there, whilst having, and I think from EWC, the thought crept into my mind that Pays might be the best player in the world by form, and I think now he's solidified it for the time being. So, there's a very big dichotomy of what's happening on the top side of the map and the bottom side of the map for T1. Game to game, and I hope they actually put a little bit more focus into enabling Pays like consistently. Like I think the Caitlyn game was one where they probably, even though I think they lacked agency to actually make things happen in the game overall, they could have played through the lead that Pays actually started to acquire a little bit more actively on the map, and I just feel like they never ended up doing that. I think with Hanwha, it's like, okay, mechanically this team is probably the best of the three, but they just need to check themselves on the fights that they take sometimes via Kanavi. Like this guy will drag you out of hell, but my god, will he drag you into there with both hands as well if you let him. So I think for Hanwha, it's a lot more about discipline, and with Gen.G, it's just about like trying to find that consistency again, and I think they're getting there series by series. We've had very, very deep conversations about Gen.G and just what it means for a team that had the kind of like the statistics on this team, before MSI basically were bonkers. You know what I mean? Or like before or winter, like bonkers. Like no other team is gonna probably ever match the consistency that they've had. And if they're starting to return to that now, then that's all they really need to do. I don't think this team inherently has like a massive glaring issue besides, Canyon likes to be absent, like Yamato was saying, right? Because it's not just letting his bot lane down, it's letting a lot of the rest of the map down. It is often Canyon's shortcoming lately. So as long as he's just on picks where he can impact the map, man, and he actually does it, that's the added caveat. Then I think Gen.G just look, I'm not going to say back as in, the scary, infallible demon. But you can't fall asleep as T1 Hanwha into Gen.G anymore and kind of get away with it like it feels like you've been able to for the last 3-4 months.
Yeah. We'll see what happens here with only 2 weeks remaining in the LCK regular season. Feels like it's gone by so fast. Only 5 overall left in all of LCK due to the Asian Games scheduling. So it's going to go fast. We've got the 3 plus the 2, and then whatever's left over from the Rise group here. Let us know your thoughts from the most recent week, the substitutions that have happened, and all the drama around T1. All right, y'all, currently in Seoul, it is very hot, very, very hot. And I find myself even just on a simple walk to the bus stop, trying to get myself over to Lowell Park. I'm finding my hydration being tested because I'm sweating all of my hydration on out.
You take
and
the
that's
bus?
why I'm covered thanks to my friends. Yeah, the bus. Gotta walk to the bus.
Damn, I didn't know.
Covered thanks to my friends over at Drip Drop. Now, Drip Drop is doctor-developed, proven fast hydration that helps your body and mind work better. Think support for busy days, long workouts, summer travel, and everything in between. Because hydration isn't just getting something when you're from behind, it's also how you stay ahead. Drip Drop uses science-based formulas for rapid hydration so you feel results fast while getting 3 times the electrolytes of leading sports drinks. And Drip Drop is trusted by firefighters, medical professionals, and over 90% of the top college and pro teams because it's built to hydrate you faster and more effective than water alone. Perfect for staying active all summer long. And Drip Drop's Zero Sugar Plus is a breakthrough fast absorbing formula with an advanced blend of 6 key electrolytes, 15 essential vitamins and nutrients, and no sugar or artificial sweeteners. It's fast hydration built with what matters most. And honestly, all their products taste delicious. There are 16 original flavors and 8 Zero Plus options that have fit seamlessly into my routine. Morning, pre-workout, post-workout, or midday slump. My favorite is the variety pack that brings you watermelon, tangerine, tropical punch, and raspberry lemonade. But tropical punch is my favorite go-to. And to make it easy, Drip Drop has flexible subscription options, so whenever you're never stuck without proven fast hydration, whether you're hitting the gym, juggling work, or just trying to keep up with an always-on calendar. And right now, Drip Drop is offering our show 20% off of your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LFN. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LFN for 20% off. Stock up now at dripdrop.com and prepare yourself for summer by using the code LFN. Thanks to our friends over at Drip Drop. All right. Next up, let's move on over to the LPL, where gameplay-wise, more dominance from the top, but they too make a big signing that has been rumored for weeks. BLG finally, officially, signed Flandre, and Flandre joins that top side of the roster. You alluded to it a bit there, Yamato, with Wenbo covering on the top side of the map while Bin was taking his step away. Flandre now officially rejoins Viper on BLG, reuniting the 2 EDG guys. And just what does this mean for this team, I think, and their chase against top esports? Is this a just in case? Is this we're making a run for worlds and we're gonna have 3 top laners? How do you view this addition?
Yamato. Yamato?
Yamato for sure, yeah.
Oh, damn, sorry. But sometimes,
It's okay.
it's close. It's got...
I know. We get caught out like once in every while. Like we both get stun locked. Which one?
I think Flandre, all things considered, I think that the main thing is just if you want to replace a player on a roster like this, right? I want to bring people back to the moment in time where Fnatic had Oscarinin break his hand. Who do you bring in that moment if you want to make a deep run, right? If you want to maintain the integrity of the team, you want to have someone that is very plug and play and understands the nuance of your dynamic without changing it too much. You got to bring someone with experience. And who better than literally the LPL version of Wunder? In terms of what Flandre's career is, it's like most people know him as, the weak side Chad with a nice Rek'Sai and good tank play. But This guy had a period, a very long time ago when he was the creative, jazz man of the Rift in terms of what he was doing top lane with his champion choices. And
The Rift. I can't let that one go without calling that one out. That's crazy.
no, he was very jazzy, bro. He was boop, boop, boop. He was all over the place. With what he was picking and what he was playing. I loved it because everyone just sees him through a very specific light. And why it makes extra sense, because like I can just imagine in the room, Danny just looked over to Viper and said, "Viper, you know what to do, right?" He says, and he just says, "Bet." And then he said, pick me, come bot, pick me all this shit, bro. Fucking Hanwha Life Esports is on again, bro. he just activated, it skipped no beat. Suddenly they're playing more into bot side, playing more ADC centric, and Viper is he's just chilling. He's in the loop, and I think that's the main thing. It's like Wembo can be good. I think he's getting better, but it's like you don't know how he's gonna react to the World Championship. We don't know if he likes Texas barbecue or if he doesn't, Maybe he's going to feel homesick, Who knows how he's going to react to it? And now you have a roster that kind of matches itself in terms of experience. And I think that's the crucial detail, because you can only have a carrot and a stick if the player you're trying to discipline and get more out of actually believes in the carrot and the stick. It can't be one of those situations where you're IG, you're playing against KT in the quarterfinals, and your name is the Shy, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna pick Fiora here. Fuck you, and then bench him, and then go. You start. Obviously, Duke was one experienced guy, so it's not the perfect example. But as he sits there on the bench and he sees that the team is performing worse with Duke in, he knows he's coming back in. And he's going to be even sassier and more diva-esque than ever. So in order for Bin to improve, the replacement needs to be plausible. And maybe in the end, maybe we're going to have a triumphant return of Bin when it comes to Worlds. And then suddenly he's just dialed in and he doesn't bring those issues. I think that's the best case scenario. And in the worst case scenario, you still have Flandre, very decorated player, someone that is going to understand the rhythm of the team. I didn't think Flandre was the worst performing player on AL, not the best performer either. AL is doing better with Breathe, so maybe he also brings some form of luggage, but it's one of those situations where I think that both parties are going to benefit from, just some change. And I think Flandre can reinvent himself here on the team.
I mean, we said it over at after EWC Jamada. Flandre looked like the best player, one of the best players, if not the best player for AGAL in their losses. Like, he was doing everything while it felt like the rest of the team couldn't get themselves off the ground. So I'm expected this move to do exactly what you said, Yamato, to motivate Bin in a way that Wenbo wouldn't be able to do. Jamada, what's your take on this move?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just makes sense, right? When I saw it was locked, my honest opinion was just, all right, cool. Let's just give BLG the summer trophy. Let's just skip the formalities, skip playoffs, or don't, maybe just entertainment. It's like a circus, and then finals rolls around, and it's actually just a medal presentation and a trophy presentation for BLG. If they don't win summer, I will genuinely be shocked. It has to be AL massive step up. JDG massive, and they. Oh, I mean, I guess they've kind of bounced back from their really horrendous start, but one of them, or I can't with a straight face say that WE have the firepower to go the distance, even though I love them. So yeah, it just makes sense. Flandre is kind of the everything guy now at this point in his career. If you like Yamato said, if you're kind of more recent to the LPL, you're gonna know him as the Orn guy, or just the Scion guy, Cassante. But this guy made his name his name proper during the top carry meta, when it was Camille, Fiora, those kind of champions in top. And he still had weak side champs on him then. He was just the carry explosive guy. So I think that will actually be the question that I have for BLG, is how are they going to want to utilize Flandre on a game-to-game basis? Because this roster coming into it, you had obviously Bin Knight, Viper, and when it comes to rosters that are close to being super rosters, it's okay, how do you delegate resources lane to lane, right? Junglers never get involved in this conversation. They're not allowed to get resources. So it's like who on what side of the map gets more resources. And Knight is, up until very recently, the best player in the world. He's like by form. He's still probably second or third. Most recent series was a bit of a stinker enough it could knock him out of top 2. But if Flandre is now in the top side and Bin isn't, this massive black hole of give me resources or else kind of vibes occasionally, then it's like the game becomes a lot more streamlined, right? In terms of what the plans look like if Flandre is a lot more malleable to just being given whatever champion makes sense for the game, and then just sitting there with no attention on the map and just playing whatever the dice rolls give him. And so I think to that end, BLG arguably could actually be a scarier team with Flandre in, which I know might sound like a very, very crazy take to have, but I think that is one of the realities we could see over the next couple of weeks is BLG have a more focused game plan game to game. And if they need to rely on Flandre of okay, we're going to give you, an Ambessa game here, and this is you will take over the game Ambessa game, or to go more directly to actual carries, things Vayne still pop up every now and again, which he's got on him, by the way, even though he's he's Unk, Flandre is Unk, and I really need to stress this. He's got picks like that on him. He's got picks like Aurora. All of these need to have mechanics to run them in lane champs. He's still got that. So I think this is a very big motivator to Bin because I think they're gonna still play really well. And hell, you know what I think best case actually is? Maybe Bin comes back and they can run a legitimate 6-man. I think I think there's a real no. I'm dead serious. I think that if all of the because one of the managers of BLG I think I saw came out and said all of this interpersonal stuff that you guys are shelling as the reason. No, it's just Bin wanted to take a step back. If that's actually how it is, because I think it's pretty easy to believe that Bin's being a diva. Sorry, Bin, but it is. But if that is to be believed, then it's actually just the Bin wants to take a step back thing, and eventually he wants to come back into the fold. I think this could be a legitimate 6-man roster of hey, actually let's just let Flandre specialize into the more passive champs, and let's put in Bin if we want to try and run something a little bit more high economy top lane. And because it's Bin, we know he can play fucking anything anyway. I think they have rolled 2 of the best top laners in the LPL to basically have in that circumstance. So yeah, I think this move makes perfect sense for both parties. I think it's a miracle that AO happened to just want to drop Flandre at the time that they did, because that was also a tight turnaround. And also Viper being on the team to probably make that move happen just is the cherry on top of everything.
You are coach of BLG. You're Danny, Yamato. Is that what you want? Do you want a 6-man roster with Flandre and Ben?
I want Ben to get his shit together. That's what I want.
Yeah.
By any means necessary. I will bench him. I will send him to his hometown and back. I will make him bring the coffees. I don't know. Whatever it takes. Because Ben, if it wasn't for his attitude, for me, 2 raging dragons, Ben and Zeus. And Zeus is just making too many arguments for himself. My man, Ben, you have to do some serious catching up, bro. The only thing that can make you catch up, this is me, Danny, talking to Ben. It's yo, Zeus is getting ahead of you. He's the best top laner in the world now the whole time. Keen is up there, but he's going to military. Who cares? You got to beat this dude. You got to do better. You got to do better, Ben. The only way is for us to win at the World Championship. And let me list all the problems with you. Boom, 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 boom. I think anything in my power, whatever it takes to make Ben, conform. But the crucial detail is, I think always as a coach is, when you are in an environment like this, right? If someone's behavior comes at the cost of others, sometimes you have people that compromise, right? Because being in a team is a very delicate balance. sometimes you have players that are extremely talented that can be energy vampires, is what we call them, you know, in EU. Just energy vampires, straight. They just sap away energy from people. Then you have people that give energy. And then sometimes you have to create these balances and, of course, these, you have to build bridges between people because you make a commitment to 5 players where the difficult thing is that maybe one player gets away with something that if everyone did it, it would be a complete mess. But in that moment, if a player decides to go against that and says, you know what, this behavior, if I did this shit, it wouldn't work. So this is like unacceptable, then the trust is broken. And I feel like that's where it reached, right? With all the rumors, if we just piece it together, it just seems like there are other players who are unhappy with Bin. And sometimes you make those compromises, but sometimes you just simply can't. Humanoid is a great example, right? Everyone knows that, Humanoid is a bit of, a wild card in the sense that, like, if I describe Humanoid, he just low-key, I think he just hates League of Legends, straight up. And he's the type of player that if he, for some reason, can't imagine, like, winning the split with the players, he just, like, gives up, full stop, It's like, he's going to do his thing on stage, but as a teammate of that, you can be like, oh, this fucking blows. So you have a player like that, you need to have him in very specific environments where people react to that type of energy vampirism by rising above. And sometimes there are environments that works. And sometimes there's cases where it doesn't. And it just seems like the other players on the roster were like, yo, this is impossible, bro. Like, how can I have my teammate just not giving a fuck about this game that we're playing? How can that happen? And I think the trust was just kind of broken. So they need to kind of rebuild that. In some circumstances, you just kind of tank it. There's definitely been cases where you work with a player that is difficult. You try to fix his issues, but sometimes you don't have the time to do it. So you're hoping that the other players can make that compromise. And they use that position where someone's getting away with something in that context, but they don't take advantage of it. And just understand he is special in the way he works. And we need to let him do that in order for us to have the highest chances to win. Because all in all, like, in terms of a personal development and how much you can work with a player, 1 year time span is very little to change someone's mentality, change someone's, outlook and view and perspective. It's very difficult. It takes time. Sometimes you need to hear the right thing. Sometimes the right thing needs to happen. You need to have a certain shock to your system. And throughout the year, you just have to deal with what you have because that development line just being 1 year is very tricky. And it ties into this whole topic of sports psychology too. Every time someone chokes or plays bad, it's like, yeah, just bring in a sports psychologist. Bro, they think it's like they come in and they prescribe some medication and suddenly it's like, they're not going to choke anymore. They're just breathing. It's like it takes a lot of work. You need insanely competent people. And usually those people that are competent enough, bro, they are working in different fields, They are making more money in business management. They're making more money in sports. It's a very delicate topic because you just have 1 year spans. Yeah, football is like you sign a superstar. It's like he is in the club now for 8-year contract. It's like, yeah, because they have an entire vision on how to work on these, attributes that take time to change. So now I think they're just throwing Ben into cold water and seeing if he's going to swim and come out, the right way.
Yeah, I think that was a lot of context there for, ultimately what I want to know, what our fans think at home. It is, would you run a 6-man roster with this and what the goal would be? Yamato giving us the detailed answer in the long way around and how he would do it and what some of the difficulties are around there. Jamada throwing out the idea in the first place. And while you're there, letting us know, make sure to like and subscribe so that you can continue getting all of the LFN content that we put out across our channel. Thank you for all of you who have done that already. Also, for those of you that want more, LFN Premium is live. Subscribers get every one of our 16 shows ad-free, access to the private Discord, and every week we pull up one subscriber topic onto our show and credit you by name. Sign up at lastfreenation.com and pick our show so we can get paid directly. If you're a big fan of Dota, perhaps, as I've gotten to know them and the casters recently over the last several years through EWC. TI is coming on up. you want the insights from some of the biggest names that cast the game. So head on over to lastfreenation.com and sign up. And you can check out some of those other shows that we have across our network. All right. Now time to focus here on the West, as we had both a big signing coming back, probably the longest gap from a player previously playing tier 1 into playing again. And also Cloud9 sneaking past the dangerously sharp gamers, DSG, as Cloud9 get another win, but it wasn't as clean, wasn't a 2-0. So Yamato, tell us, what did we learn from this week from Cloud9? What did we want to work on for next week, and what caught your eye?
We've been working on some stuff, like a big one for us was just driving the game through our bot lane and mid game. Often we had like leads through good laning bot lane, and we just couldn't convert it in practice, which was a very important note. We're also working with Blabber in terms of he's very sharp at finding angles. But my man is playing like he's starving always, like he needs to just, we're trying to like create like this mental lever in his mind where when the game is won, the game is won. Because often people think it's like, oh, I'm strong, I can do more, I should do more. But in reality, when you're ahead and the game is won, stick to your plan even harder, because your advantage happens at certain moments. People get confused about gold leads. They feel good. They feel powerful, You get a kill. The announcer gives you dopamine, double kill, She just whispers sweet honey, nectar words in your ears, and you are at this high. So you're just rushing with it, right? But in reality, like, you need to protect that lead because shutdowns are devious. You can win 3 fights, and the enemy can take it all back in one. So the more ahead you are, the more in line with your strategy you need to be. Because you can have a 5,000 gold lead, but that can even be spread amongst all your teammates. And if for some reason, like if you feel really, really ahead, like 5,000 gold lead could feel nice, look very, very big. But if the XP is even, and suddenly like the only advantage is that your AD, for example, has a pickaxe and your mid lane has a blasting wand, no one's ever walked away from a fight. You know what? That 25 AD really got us. It's all about the components and how you finish those items, right? So it's like understanding the nature of the leads and, accepting when a game is won, because Brad is very good at winning games. Like, he's very good at finding angles, but we just need to accept, it's like when the hard work is done, just take it easy. Easy breezy, we let the wind take us, no problem. We don't need to roll like crazy and like reinvent the wheel, So with that being said, I just, the second game was kind of awful, We had moments where we overpostured, we like misplayed, we took a fight in the tri-bush there that was kind of disappointing. And then it's like when we don't know exactly how to play our comp, we become desperate. And when we're desperate, we are not good. I think that in that game, like Vayne got a couple of kills, and I do think the draft was kind of tricky to play at times for sure. It was hard to play the Skarner, for example. But at least we had very, very clean wins. I think the wins were very one-sided, especially game 3. The fact that we are unaffected by playing like shit is honestly great. It might sound silly, but a lot of people get affected by playing like shit. It lets you spiral. But if we can bounce back between things, like the point that I made to the boys, and I also said it on stream too, where globally, all the best teams in the world play shit games too. So it's okay. There's not a single team out there that is clean. Whether it's KC in Europe or G2. It's like G2, bro, what was that game against Team Red? Is that game 1? So just sitting there doing nothing for 35 minutes. So KC also against Team Heretics having like a very slow and like drawn out game. And, we look at LCK or LPL, it's messy across the board. So it's like it's a part of the experience, in terms of how the chaos is and how gold swings and how volatile the game can be, because you play sometimes with limited information and you need to kind of, trust your gut in certain moments. So it's just, the fact that we can maneuver through that and play a garbage game and bounce back and play a great game, to me, says more more than anything else. But the big challenges come now, the big challenges come now. We face the easy, now comes the teams we need to be, because that's the whole ass conversation. DSG is just a footnote, like who cares,
All right, DSG fans. All right, that was the positive coaches version of it. Jamada, what did you make of Cloud9 this week?
You know what? I leave DSG C9 feeling pretty close to how I left Dig C9, and it's just that I'm still worried for the bigger matches. What I feel at the moment with C9 is just, do we get game 1 and game 3 DSG C9 in terms of aggression, in terms of focus, in terms of like overall like sharpness and quickness of decision making, or do we get game 2 DSG like C9, where hey, mechanically maybe we're gonna shit on ourselves a bit, right? Like we're not gonna be as sharp. Like
with the
for
kettle
example,
again,
I think
Jamada.
it's the
Not
kettle
with the kettle again.
bro. It's the kettle again.
It's just brewing, but I'm not coming over to your house for tea, brother.
But like, I look at a game 2, for example, and I think, okay, cool, the comp is a bit hard to play, but Vulcan on Vulcan is one of the best bot players in the West. Like normally he's really on point. And I think that, if memory serves me right, and I'm not mixing up the games, that was like one of the like least impactful bot games I think I've seen from him ever, actually. Like, and I think he had room to really like make some magic happen in that game. But overall, yeah, I unfortunately I kind of leave the series feeling like I would have been happy if only game 1 and 3 happened, But now that game 2's in the mix, it's like, well, C9 still have the capacity to do this. And yes, like teams around the world, elite teams around the world, like they're privy to having those games. Are we an elite team? That's the question I ask C9 when I see a game like game 2 versus a DSG that look like this, because I think there's a difference between like let's just say like BLG random drop a game to like LGD, right? As far as the Ascend group is concerned, or like Top Esports do it, though they they do it more often typically, to one of those lower teams in the Ascend group. I think there's levels to it, right? And it's like, I think if you want to be a team that's competing at Worlds from an A, then a team like DSG, you need to be 2-0ing, even if it's now. Now, again, I think there are still like the circumstances of, hey, like, Yamato, you're new there, Arrow's new there, you're running, what do you call it? Tactical and low-key, they've got to have this period of readjustment. So I think there's still, in my head, that grace period, as it were. I don't know. I feel like DSG are so far below C9, or should theoretically be so far below C9, that this has to be a 2-0 that, like, after last week, because I'll be honest, you guys dodged, and I guess we should probably talk about it, you guys dodged Dardoch. Hey, first 15 minutes of Dardoch on Dig looked all right, man. Like, he had me dreaming for a second.
I would love to see some Blabberoni versus Dardoni. Come on now.
Oh,
I'm all so for the hardest version of those teams. Come on now.
Like, bro, I'm so sad we might not end up getting it now, because obviously Digger are 0-3, so the likelihood they make it into playoffs is just not particularly high. But yeah, I think to round off my point, I look at how Lion and TL play, and I think to myself, how does current version C9 close that gap? And I don't have answers as far as what I've seen on the Rift right now. And that's what I'm scared about with C9 right now. I just think that, and again, it's like roster's been together for ages with TL. Lion have inspired, and he's like the bit, he's we call him dictator in my parts, because it feels like he is, right? Like he really is like El Capitan. And I look at C9 and I think, well, what does C9 have? And I can't conjure up an answer, and that's kind of my concern for them, especially again against the DSG, that I feel like they should really, really be sorting aside moving into a week where now they play a FlyQuest, and I think the schedule is nice C9 once again. FlyQuest maybe don't. I don't know. Like they pieced up DSG, but I feel like everyone should piece up DSG. Maybe the gap between Lion and TL is just really big. This is now really the test, I think, actually for both of you, both FlyQuest and C9 now, given how FlyQuest schedule has played out and how they've played versus their opponents so far. If this series is like bad by the eye test, I'm concerned for C9 for the remainder of playoffs. Like for the remainder of the split and then into playoffs. Like I think the turnaround time to be a good team is maybe a bit too tight for this roster, and it's not really anyone's fault. It's just the way it is my like worry with C9 right now.
Yeah, I think Yamato, your angle on it is very motivational, but I'm still in the wait and see as we get to the tougher opponents. And the thing that Cloud9 had, which was that consistency of this roster, of like this team, of being like, okay, you know what to expect, and they're trying to get the percentage points up and beyond, or up above 90% of their potential, so that we can see what they're made out of. And it feels like now, with the addition of the multiple different parts, yourself as well, Arrow as well, Dom taking over the head coaching role, I'm not sure yet. I'm still not sure yet. There's a lot of experience on there, but who's going to be the one leading it in, to the end? Like that, to me, is what I want to know, and an identity before we get to playoffs. So, as you've said, for Painter and young players, tougher environments are going to show us what you're made out of, and Cloud9 will have that here in the future. So thank you for this week's update. Dardoch coming back for Dignitas, one of the longest returns back. If people did not know, Dardoch has been playing a ton in Tier 3 and in Tier 2, played in Collegiate, played in NACL. He's been able to grow a lot, I think, through a lot of those teams, a lot of those experiences. He said in an interview, like, playing in Tier 2, I've had to learn how to be optimistic, which is crazy to say. But he said, because that's the game is just filled with mistakes. So you have to stay positive, and you can still find the win despite all those mistakes. And, you got to stay positive. So that was a fascinating take for me, a takeaway for me. But that, I guess, is what he's going with here. What did you make of his return here, Yamato?
Honestly, looked good. I think the Dignitas looked a lot better. I think it makes sense. I thought the rationale for him coming back also makes sense from the Dig GM. I like a good redemption story. I think people have the capacity to change and to get better and to grow. And it seems like everybody that is watching Challenger and work with him in Challenger and so forth, and also even work with him as a coach, are just singing his praises. And I do think that it had a positive impact on Dignitas. I think that him being in the league is a good thing. It's an exciting thing. It's a fun thing to talk about. There's a lot of good narratives. Especially because a lot of the LCS guys, they're OGs, so they know all the stories. Whether it's Jet and Kobe and Isaiah, like they know all the stories. It's like our Mayo versus Dardoch being the opening game was cool in some sense, and I do think that it's only positive for the league. I do think that XU, especially with the interviews we saw, like him talking about Dig and so forth, it's like and especially, obviously, I don't know the guy, but he seems pretty excited to be playing TFT again. Like there seems to be a part. There seems to be a part of him that is like relieved. To be outside of that environment, because like being on a losing team is stressful. It's very stressful. And I feel like Dardoch is in his element in that stress. So God bless him. I think it's a good change up for Dig and also for the league.
I think that's such a hilarious, accurate, unique point here. It's like Dardoch is made in this mess. He's made one of the biggest, most documented messes ever in Breaking Point. And then his whole redemption arc has been getting rid of that personality and knowing how to deal with it. If there was someone that could save Dignitas' season, I think there was only one man for the job. And I think it was Dardoch, and I'm really excited to see what else they have in store in the year. And it actually makes you kind of want to watch it. Dignitas watchable? Is this a thing here, Jamada?
Yeah. Yeah. No, actually, I think they have just become a watchable team. If what I saw out of the first 15 and 10 minutes respectively of their Lion series, both their games, Dig are a watchable team now. I'll go as far as saying, if my eyes were not playing tricks on me, I think they could have beat Sentinels if Dardoch was in week 1. I don't think it's ridiculous to say that. I don't think it's ridiculous at all. And I think what's actually really interesting now is this was okay, cool. They got smashed 2-0, right? Well, smashed is maybe a strong word given how like they had like a 5,000 gold lead in game 1 over Lion. Like it wasn't like a very incremental, no. Like they were kind of kicking their teeth in like in that little sequence up until maybe 23, 24 minutes. When you look at their schedule now, they play a very beatable looking Shopify. Like Shopify are 2-1, but Shopify have gotten their wins low key from farmers, DSG, and Sentinels will they'll beat anyone, they'll lose anyone in the league. That's their entire thing.
Yep.
So Shopify, then they play DSG, who I think are just categorically the worst team in the league. I don't think it's a question. Then they play FlyQuest, who, as much as I love FlyQuest, man, FlyQuest can lose, and they can lose hard, and they can lose fast. They've proved that to us this split. Like, I'm not sure. I got a lot of love for ThinkCard. I don't know what that brother was thinking, saying that this team is gonna make worlds, because I think it's a long shot. And then it's TO at the end of the season. You know, they'll probably lose. But point is, they have 3 very winnable games in front of them. And you can qualify into playoffs in NA on 2 wins.
That's right.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And you know what? I think if Dig make it into playoffs, it will be a fun 1.5 series for Dig. It'll be a very fun 1.5 series for Dig. They won't go further than that, probably. But it'll be a very fun 1.5 series for them. I loved what I saw out of Dardoch, man. I'm looking forward to Dig for the rest of the season now. Like, I can't imagine going into LCS match and seeing that nameplate on the other side. Like, it has to be an aura dip. Like, you're scared when you're on the rift, you're contesting Skullcrab, and you see Dig Dardoch in the big 2-6. No. It's worrying. It's very, very worrying. But yeah, I think they have a reasonable chance to make playoffs if what I saw out of the Lion series is anything to go by, and it wasn't just like a one-off like boon of performance.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, we'll keep an eye out there for the LCS and how, does this change Dig? Does it? I mean, 5,000 gold lead wasn't nothing against the current champs. As before we get into the LEC, it's time to remind you about our friends over at Hims. Now, losing weight is one thing, but looking and feeling your best this summer, that's the real goal. That's why Weight Loss by Hims now offers access to FDA-approved Wegovy pill and Wegovy pen. Wegovy is designed to help you lose weight and keep it off so you can show up this summer feeling like yourself. Now, with Wegovy at Hims, lose up to 20% of your body weight when combined with diet and exercise. It helps you regulate your appetite, eat less, and keep weight off. Plus, Wegovy is the first ever GLP-1 T1 pill for weight loss, so there are no needles needed. Through Hims, everything happens online. You'll connect with a licensed provider who will determine if treatment is right for you, and if prescribed, your medication will be delivered right to your door. No insurance necessary. And it doesn't stop there. Hims makes hitting your goals seamless by offering access to 24/7 messaging with your care team and in-app lifestyle and nutrition support with things like recipes, meal plans, fitness videos, sleep content, and more. And even better, with a wide range of affordable GLP-1 options, Hims makes it simple to find a weight loss approach that fits your world and your wallet if eligible. You can get a treatment plan personalized to you and unlimited dosage changes as needed. Now, are you ready to hit your goals? Visit hims.com/powerspike to get a personalized, affordable plan that gets you. That's HIMS.com/powerspike, hims.com/powerspike. Weight loss by Hims is not available in all 50 states. Wegovy is the registered trademark of Novo Nordisk AS. To get started and learn more, including important safety information, Wegovy clinical study information, and restrictions, visit hims.com. And this one, it's my own anecdote. I've used Wegovy before. It has helped me, and it does suppress your appetite. It's fascinating how it works. It was very easy. I've been pretty safe and healthy since then. So if you are interested in that, go check that on out over at hims.com and then help us out with the /powerspike at the end. All right. Finally, let's dive on into the LEC, where our boy Subaru, as Yamato ever lovingly called him, and Fnatic lose again. The hate watch is in full effect. Fnatic cannot beat themselves out of a brown paper bag wording. They are still looking for their first win in the spring. And we have 2 matches as of recording. There are 2 matches left. Vitalia and Navi, the yellow teams, which Jamada loves to yap about. But yep. Fnatic just still spiraling downwards, 2-6. They are tied with Shitters in last place with the same game score. So, Jamada, what's going on? What's going on with Fnatic, man?
What isn't going on with Fnatic? I want to hinge on the phrasing of your intro here, dGon. You said hate watching Fnatic. That was a pity watch. Oh, the KC series. It was a pity watch. It stopped being fun. Like it actually just turned into, like, I felt bad. Like, if I was a Fnatic fan, I'm not, yeah. I don't know, man. There's a world where the only win that this Fnatic roster gets this split is Team Heretic. Oh, sorry, not Team Heretics. What do you call it? Like Shifters. Yes, thank you. Because they've already lost to Team Heretic. I don't know. I could go in so many different angles. I just think, as far as this roster is concerned, it was never going to be success. Like, it was just set up for failure from the beginning of the year. Right, the rest of the core. As for Sober, I just feel bad he's here. And he has to now witness this firsthand and play part in it. KC, and you know what? Why did it feel like a pity watch? What KC did to Razork in game number 1, if Razork just took his headset off and walked off the stage, I wouldn't have blamed the guy. Like, he's playing Syndra. He's flash Wing Scuttle Crab, the first big crab of the game, to yoink it and bring it to Yike so he can hit 6. And then he's getting, like, flash cataclysm. Like, bro, it's just hell. He's losing smite fights, which, like, Loki, he shouldn't lose. He's trying to sneak away one grub. The whole of KC descend on him like the Avenger. Like, it was just miserable. And then even plays which I'm not even going to say inherently make sense, but like, okay, there's some volatility to them, like the chicken invade in game 2 on Olaf. It's like, yo, Upset's teleporting to bot wave, man. Kalista and Busio aren't showing on the map. Where do you think they are? Where do you think they're going? This team is just flaccid. Like there's nothing to be excited about Fnatic. And you know what? We had these conversations last year, Yamato, before you were here, where we were talking about whether or not it was time for Razork to just piece it,
Hang it
let
up.
alone leave Fnatic. To be honest, like I was more along the lines of pack it up. That was a series for me where you might start having those thoughts, really, in my mind, unless you've got some real deep competitive drive going for you. That's a series where you think, you know what, maybe I've done what I can do.
My race.
Maybe I've run my race. And like, again, you know, I think the players, with the exception of Upset, around Razork aren't particularly good, right? But are you as Razork going to find yourself on another elite team inside of Europe? Probably not. Hell, if I'm Upset, I might be like, when will the suffering end for Upset? Like, I'm wondering, in a past life, was he a serial killer? Was he like murdering children? Like, what heinous acts was he committing in a past life to be subjected to a career like this, when individually he's got it? Like, I think anyone who's intellectually honest with themselves knows that Upset does have the ability. But it's like the same thing. I joked about this with Photon, though I think it's leaps and bounds between them. It's like, we need to kill, like, if Photon has an agent, we need to get him gone. Like, the choices he's made for Photon have been terrible. And if Upset has an agent, we need to get this guy, whoever he is, out of the picture, man. Upset, just regain some agency over your own decision making. Because, man, like, the projects that Upset has been on for the last like 3 years, 4 years almost, it feels like, where it's just, they've just been bad. Like, I think the last time he was on a project that like maybe had some hope was like Fnatic the first time, right? Like, Fnatic the first time was the last time, really, where it felt like there was hope for him. Actually, Yamo, you were there, weren't you? That was your roster.
Yeah, that was my last year.
Yeah, well, there you go. I think there might be there might be a coincidence then. So, like, do you know what I mean? It's been a while. It's been a while, and I just feel bad. Like, I watched that series and my head was just in my hands. Like, I wasn't like, wow, like KC are like playing really well and doing, like, they're you know, they're just running Fnatic like they should be. I just sat there and thought, wow, like, Fnatic are finished. They might not win a series this entire split. That was how I felt about that series, the KC Fnatic series.
Is that an overreaction here, Yamato, or is this it? I mean, it just feels like they're grasping at straws and they're trying to not save the season, but save the legacy of the org right now.
Well, these are not even like plastic straws. These are like these paper straws. But what's up with people giving us paper straws for milkshakes? Like, that's a challenge in itself that we don't need to have. And honestly, maybe that's the perfect analogy for what Fnatic is. They're trying to suck a milkshake, a very thick one, through a paper straw. It's just, it has definitely gotten to the point where, like, you just kind of get a temperature check what's going on in the Fnatic subreddit. It's like it has just gone to the point of apathy. It's not like that people are angry. It's like people are suddenly just, like, already, honestly, fair play to them that they've stuck with it for such a long time. You see, like, someone's like, you know what? I started following Fnatic because of Expeke. You're like, oh, damn. Respect. Respect you. But that org is just a shell of its past. And I think that that the main thing is, it's like, they they really, really took the credibility that they got through the glory years of like very strong decision making around which players to get and not to get. And they took that credibility for the longest time. Even now, there was an interview with Subaru where like someone asked him, like, "Yo, so what did you think about Fnatic?" It's like, "Yeah, I always looked at in EU as like G2 and Fnatic are the top two teams." Like, "Yo, bro, you've been gaslit, brother." this is the news traveled slow to the east. You know, as it's tough. You know, I think that's the main thing. Is like I don't know where you go from here because like. Even on the topic of Razork, my boy Razork, bro, he should have left this team like 2-3 years back, you know.
2-3 years ago, man. Yes.
And I think it would have been so good for him because there was still periods during that time, like 24, 23, where he was clearly the best jungler in Europe. I think that he was better than Yike during certain segments, right? And they just couldn't push it over the finish line because of Noah Ezreal. You remember, like fucking. You know, the smolder game, and I don't know what the hell happened in those moments. It's just that, you know, when you are fine with an outcome, there's going to be a point in time where all those issues just catch up to you. Like you need to do aggressive changes. For example, now with MKOI. Oh, bless you. It's like now the conversation is about MKOI. It's like, did they fuck up because they didn't change Midwin and Supa? Is that going to bite them in the ass heavily this year? Is that going to, you know, be a problem? Luckily, they've signed, you know, Jojo Pune and of course Elioya for a longer period, so probably they can recover. But you have to ask yourself these questions, like when things are good and you're happy, say, "Oh, we were so close. We just need to try it again, and be delusional about your problems." I think that's the definition of Fnatic. And then eventually they made the mid-year change, Humanoid into Poby, and then they got Vladi. And Vladi, you know, was a player that did so good on Casey in the first split. And then obviously they had coaching problems. They removed pretty much the whole coaching staff. But then you bring him into Fnatic. It's like, it's like, you know, this guy is just changing like abusive foster homes, you know, like it's just, you know,
he's going through the system, man.
He's going through the goddamn system. So for me with Fnatic is just I don't know what to hold on to. I don't even know if they could beat Shifters. Like that's gonna be like a very, very hype match. I wouldn't be surprised if Fnatic's gonna be one of those scenarios where like they're out of playoffs and now suddenly they play great. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of those cases. Because apparently they do good in scrims, you know? They do good in scrims. Like, you know, Jamada, you nailed it. You know, at the beginning of the year, this Vladi signing is not going to age well, right? This is, you know, you deserve the fucking crown for that take, right? Because I could see the angle, but in terms of how it's played out, you know, it's been.
When you presented it back to me as well, I did double check and I thought, like to myself, I thought, you know what? Yeah, maybe he could be something because like it was present in KC, right? Like let's not lie to ourselves. But
Fnatic,
one broken home to another, man. Like
bro.
What can you do? What can you do? And I want to sign off on this Fnatic segment. Do you know who Fnatic's games are this week? To talk about a shell of their former past. They play SK, right? The traditional El Clasico of Europe, Fnatic SK. And then to make, like, just, you couldn't write this. It's just comedy, given the state that they're in. It's G2 Fnatic on Sunday. And I'm pretty sure that's the match of the week slot, which, because it's the second series of the Sunday, and that is traditionally the match of the week slot. Now they might change it to a different series because the LEC does, you know, from a production side they will change things. But yeah, G2 Fnatic is in the second series slot of Sunday, and that is traditionally series of the week, and it's going to be a series of the week, all right. It's just not the 7-day one is the problem.
Not gonna lie, but I think SK is gonna murk them, bro.
Oh, it should be a slaughter. Like
SK is gonna legit murk them, yeah.
This SK hasn't looked that bad. Like,
yeah, that's just the drafts. Like these silence drafts need to be put in the bin, you know, in the kettle. with the other stuff,
That's what they've been doing. Kettle, they've been whipping it up.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there for now. The form of Fnatic have been dire for a while, but it's going to be put to the full test here in this upcoming week with El Clasico, and then just two very different direction-facing organizations with G2 and Fnatic. All right, everyone. What an episode it was here on Power Spike. We do have a reminder about our LFN premium content. We have one of our writers writing in a question. I did not tell the guys, but I always love this type of question here. This is from Dagarn, who asks, over the years, we've witnessed many iconic moments in League. If you had to pick one moment as a personal favorite, either on broadcast or in game, which would you choose? You guys can go ahead and take a think on that, because obviously I knew the question already, and you guys can go on through. I think, man, it's not easy to pick one. So I think you can give some like honorable mentions. Like for me, I think an honorable mention is the game 5 atmosphere of Hanwha Life Esports against T1 in last year's Kespa Cup here at Lol Park. Every other one is going to be probably in a stadium, but this one needed a stadium, and we just didn't have it because everyone's like, T1 and Hanwha won't meet each other in an elimination for like 8th place or 6th place, whatever it was, early on in the Kespa Cup. And they did, and it was just electric. It was electric. There's nothing like it. I think that was a pretty good one. If you go further back, I think about Danny's pentakill for EG. I believe that one was back over in Houston. I believe it was Houston, where the Houston Texans play football over at NRG Stadium. It's probably one of the last huge LCS events that they had before they started realizing we're having trouble filling these football stadiums. Let's do hockey rinks,
hockey arenas.
And if I go further back than that, was there another moment? I know. And this isn't to troll you guys, but also it was just, for me, it was, the connection of my life and probably the last ditch effort for me to kind of make a living in League. It was NRG beating G2 here in Busan. It was, or in Seoul. It was, I knew that if I did not find a job in League at the end of that year, I was going to move on and do IT or something. And so I was like, okay, then let me go show face over in Korea during Worlds. Let me cover it with dGon Esports and LFN. And so that got me press access, and that press access gets you seats at the front row. And so to be front row there with NRG in a neutral to hostile crowd, like most Koreans knew G2, they did not know NRG because it wasn't CLG. So it was kind of an interesting period, and to see that series and have my boy Juanito, who was the first player I interacted with. I think I did my first interview with him when I was over at LCS, and then also I remember picking him up from the Cloud9 house when we signed him over at Golden Guardians, and how like that changed his career. To then see him on stage and have probably the best series of his life was amazing. It was an amazing moment. So those are 3 for me. All right, I stalled enough. What do you guys got? Who's ready to go?
What was the question again? Like best moments?
Yeah.
Just best moments in series, best moments in like League competitive.
If you had to pick one iconic moment as your personal favorite, either on broadcast or in game, what would you choose?
Ooh. I don't know. So for me, obviously, I'm gonna lean into the ones that affected me the most.
Sure.
It's like I think the qualification to the World Championship for the first time, that was a very big deal to me.
Yeah, man.
Like for me, especially because the year previously to that, we went to 5 games with Origin in Rocket, and then I joined Splice. And the whole year, everyone was doubting us, like everyone was just screaming that Wunder should be removed from LEC, like he shouldn't be playing in LCS, he's too trash. And we brought in like this rookie, this random called Mickey X, and we went from relegations in spring to then having, second place in summer. Just making it all the way to the finals, losing against the very strong G2 at the time, right? With Trick and Sven and Mithy and Perks, of course. Expect to, but Wunder was way better than him, so he gets to be mentioned last. It's just that in that moment, we had to play the regional qualifier. And I did the strategic move of basically talking to the teams. We were 4 teams playing the same regional qualifier, 4 teams that could scrim. One team decided to not scrim at all. They were meant to boom, Giants. So we were left there was only 3 teams left. Then I reached out to Fnatic and I told them, if you cancel all your scrims with Unicorns of Love, we can scrim only each other. And they shook on it. And then Unicorns of Love was excluded. Because I knew we would play Unicorns of Love in the finals. And they were pissed. Understandably so. They were very pissed. But I, of course, I dropped the legendary line, they have my sympathy, but not my regrets. Because motherfucker, I'm here to win. Like I didn't say that part, but you have my sympathy, but not my regrets. And then that series was a game 5 banger, We went to game 5. I remember Mickey was doing things that, he part of him didn't want to win, but we got his bod. And I remember there was this stubborn thing, like I pulled the CV Max, like we prepared GP against Vichitachi Shen, and that was like his best pick. And everyone just permabanned it. But we went back to back to back to back, just GP Shen, GP Shen, GP Shen. I just told Wunder, now we're running it back. It should be winning. Like all these details about us losing, that's like different, We got to run it back. And then, Wunder got us over the finish line. The boys got us over the finish line, and going to the World Championship for the first time, especially with all of that, it was just, it's like I went from a little fish, that was trying to fucking make it, because my career as a player was always trying to beat like these guys that were much better than me. And with Rocket, we came close, because that was also, I had to come into a team that was in relegation, and then we got close. And then getting over that hump and going to the World Championship, suddenly you feel, this is like you have a greater capacity to dream. So that to me was my most key moment to me when I think about it.
That is such a great way to put that. A greater capacity to dream. Damn. All right, Jamada, what you got for us?
I don't know how I'm supposed to follow up on that.
I
know. Well, I've got 3, but they're all small, so that's why I've got many. Most and this as an importance to me is how I've done this as an answer. 2014 World Finals. That was my first time watching professional league. I was 15, it was October. 15, and I also, comically, I actually remember it more because my dog happened to go missing on that day. Just weird tangent. Yeah, he escaped, got off his lead, tried to escape, came back though. He's still alive, the bastard. Anyway, 2014, just for the story, Samson White had mostly played second fiddle to Blue for a lot of that year. They're playing into Starhorn Royal, which obviously is modern day RNG, who I guess rest in peace RNG, but Starhorn Royal, and a lot of people, I think were very torn on how that series was going to go, but then it just ended up being a mostly one-way series in favor of Samson White because they were just so insane on the map in terms of they revolutionized how the jungle could be played relative to the time. And so for me as a young budding 15-year-old who'd just gone into league and wanted to see what the peak of what this game could be, that was very, very special to me. and also very seemingly iconic. Because from what I could gather at the time, was again I wasn't like fully in it at the time. Was that more people had Starhorn Royal down as the favorites because obviously they'd come second the year before in 2020 in 2013. So people felt like, okay, yes, Samsung might be very good. It was a one-off that they beat Samsung Blue, and Samsung Blue should be here in the finals. It wasn't a one-off, and they won. Another moment, and this is kind of a very out there one. It's actually more a shout to EU Masters because I think the product's kind of been nuked. But 2023 EU Masters finals, which I think Yamato, you were also there. I think you were on the desk for LEC finals, or maybe you were also.
Was it in
for EMEA Masters?
Was it the one in what's the city called?
Montpellier.
Yeah, I was there on the desk.
Yeah. But the atmosphere for the EMEA Masters finals was incredible. And it was the year before that was basically, the split before Casey joined the LEC. It was Movistar Riders, who obviously then eventually came into the Koi name as well, Movistar Koi. So seeing both of those organizations like battle on that stage, it was a 5-game series. It was absolutely incredible. And that was really my first arena LAN. Despite all of the like experience I'd had up to that point as a commentator, because all of it happened in COVID, that was the first time I actually got to experience a big packed event like that in almost, I'd say, 8 years. So that was incredible. And then final one was actually as iconic, because it is actually just generally iconic. 2024 World Finals in the O2 here in London. Went as a BLG fan, left as a sad BLG fan. But as a neutral, you just have to respect how legendary that finals is, right? Like, it's insane that somehow it was then followed by 2025, which is arguably, I'm not going to say as crazy, but for the story of KT making it to finals, crazy. But as far as the level of teams, like, we might not have two teams in a more peak form playing against each other in a bottle of a moment ever again. I think that might just go down as the best finals to be played. Like, it will take a lot to top that finals. And yeah, it was just incredible being there. I felt like I was in Korea, because let me tell you, the T1 fans rocked up to that finals. Yeah, like normal, T1 made a play. Yeah, BLG made a play. Yeah, like it felt like you weren't hearing no Chinese fans in the O2 that day. So yeah, that sticks with me as one of the most iconic moments, because I mean, Faker really did run up. He ran back the legendary legacy, man, in that series. That was really him.
He did do it. Again, questions like these, stories like these, throwbacks like these, you can join in the conversation by joining Last Free Nation Premium. LFN Premium is live now. Head on over to lastfreenation.com. Sign up and make sure to tag us so we can get paid, answer these questions. And as we are building up more questions than episodes, as we have here, we have like, I think 6 or 7 other questions, something like that. We'll answer them offline as well, and then upload that once a month. So make sure to sign up, get these deeper questions answered in there. On behalf of everyone here at LFN and Power Spike, thank you so much for watching. We will catch you guys next week as we kick into some of the big matches for Cloud9. Is it the obituary for Fnatic? And get into the final round 4 over at the LCK and LPL Powers On. Bye-bye.